Oh, you guys see those fireworks during the questioning of the deputy AG in that House hearing today? Rod Rosenstein has been overseeing the Russia investigation forever, since Jeff Sessions' notorious recusal, and GOP lawmakers didn't hesitate to vent their frustrations with this handling of the probe.
You wrote the memo saying that Comey should be fired, and you signed the FISA extension for Carter Page. So my question is to you, seems like you should be recused from this more so than Jeff Sessions, just because you were involved in making decisions affecting both prongs of this investigation. Why haven't you done that?
Congressman, I can assure you that if it were appropriate for me to recuse, I'd be more than happy.
If you have evidence of wrongdoing by any member of the Trump campaign, present it to the damn grand jury. If you have evidence that this president acted inappropriately, present it to the American people. Whatever you got, finish it the hell up, because this country is being torn apart.
I think the best thing we can do is finish it appropriately and reach a conclusion. And I certainly agree with you, sir, that people should not jump to conclusions without seeing the evidence.
Did you read the FISA application before you signed it?
I'm not going to comment about any FISA application.
So why are you keeping information from Congress?
Congressman, I am not keeping any information from Congress that it's appropriate. Your statement that I'm personally keeping information from you, trying to conceal information.
You're the boss, Mr. Rosenstein.
That's correct. And my job is to make sure that we respond to your concerns. We have, sir. So I appreciate your concerns.
Again, I think the House of Representatives is going to say otherwise.
But your use of this to attack me personally.
Why did you? It's wrong. You got 7 days to get your act together, and I want to know why you won't give us what we've asked for.
Sir, I certainly hope that your colleagues are not under that impression. That is not accurate, sir. And
it is accurate. We have caught you hiding
Mr. Chairman, can we allow the witness to answer?
Anyone else get nervous during that exchange? I was very uncomfortable. Joining me now for analysis, great panel, of course, Fox News contributor, former federal prosecutor Andy McCarthy, just wrote a great piece, by the way, former Whitewater Deputy Independent Counsel Saul Weisenberg, and former FBI National Spokesperson John Iannarelli. Great to see all of you. Saul, let's start with you. You were annoyed by Jim Jordan's questioning, which you found to be badgering. And I got to say, I was watching in my radio studio, and I kind of winced, because when you have to interrupt the witness, it makes your case not look that strong. Just let him answer the question, then have a quick follow-up. But I think he's worried about not having enough time. They have such limited amount of time that he probably got frustrated. But was that a fatal mistake on the part of Jordan?
Well, I don't think it's a fatal mistake. I just think he's, he went to school at the Teddy Kennedy School of Congressional Cross-Examination. You ask a hostile question, and then you immediately interrupt the person that you're questioning. So my objection is not to the substance of what he asked. He's allowed to ask anything he wants. It is to the badgering. But the larger question here about this whole exercise of bashing Rosenstein is something that Andy has spoken to several times in his columns, Andy McCarthy, and spoke to it a couple of days ago. President Trump has the absolute authority to order Rod Rosenstein to turn over anything and everything to the Congress. And if he did it, and Rosenstein didn't want to do it, he could resign, or if he refused to do it, the president could fire him. Why hasn't he done that?
Let's ask Andy that. Andy, what's the delay? Why hasn't President Trump just said, turn the documents over? That's not prejudicing the case, or he doesn't look like he's defensive. Just, it's transparency. Why won't the president say to Rosenstein, enough of these continuing resolutions that they keep passing that are meaningless in Congress? If they pass a resolution, we're compelling you to release the document. They're not going to release the documents. That was clear today to me. So why won't the president demand that they be finally released? Get this thing on the road. Show on the road.
It's a great question, Lauren. I appreciate Saul bringing it up. The great irony, I thought, of the hearing was my friend Jim Jordan really laying into Rod Rosenstein, saying, you're the boss, these people work for you. And the elephant in the room is that Rosenstein works for Trump. And precisely the point you make is true. Trump can order this. So what we understand is that he's gotten advice, I don't think it's particularly good advice, that because he's been under investigation for obstruction, and because the critics of Trump have conflated in the public mind the Republican Congress's pursuit of what went on with the agents who conducted these investigations and Mueller's investigation, that if Trump acts to force disclosure and help Congress here, he's effectively obstructing justice. Now, I think that's nuts. I don't see a legal obstruction case.
I get it. Yeah.
But I think that's where they're at.
That's what they're worried about. John, there were so many things in this hearing that were wild. One of them was when he was asked, Rosenstein was asked, what about this FISA warrant? And he wouldn't answer the question about whether he read it. And then he said, well, this, Strzok didn't brief me, and he went through the others. Moyers didn't brief me. But he wouldn't answer the question about, did you actually read this FISA warrant? And he kept saying, well, you basically don't understand. And I also said, I don't supervise, I have 100,000 employees. So he wasn't looking over the shoulder of Peter Strzok at every moment, but he said he wants to root out any corruption that's there.
If he had read the warrant, he would have said, I read the warrant. He obviously didn't read the warrant, or maybe glanced over it so long ago he can't remember the specifics, which is why he's not commenting. I'll tell you, this whole process is moving so incredibly slow. At this point, DOJ has to stop with the glacial performance and recognize the American people want to know what's going on. Speed it up already. Let's get the answers out there.
And Trey Gowdy went just crazy on that. He's like, he decided, Saul, not to ask a question, but to take his time to make sure that he got quoted and the soundbite was used on most evening newscasts and cable and all over media, social media today. Get this thing wrapped up. What has taken so long? Give us the documents. And then there was a moment when Jordan was pressing another matter about Peter Strzok. I want to play it and have Saul's reaction. Let's watch.
Why'd you tell Peter Strzok not to answer our questions yesterday? When I asked Peter Strzok if he'd ever communicated with Glenn Simpson, he gave us the answer he gave us dozens of times. On advice of FBI counsel, I can't answer that question. Why couldn't he answer that question?
Mr. Jordan, I appreciate your sincere concerns, but I didn't give Peter Strzok any instructions. How do I know, sir? I mean, you interviewed Mr. Strzok. I didn't, so I can't
Works for you. Doesn't work for us.
So, I don't think Rosenstein came off well today at all. I thought he came off as very defensive, very flip, but he played the victim card. You're personally attacking me. You're mean to me in the media. Like, welcome to the big leagues, buddy. You're deputy AG. It's pretty hot right now. But he kept saying, well, there's all these people who work in the Department of Justice. This is the biggest case, the Russia case, but the Hillary email case. These two things dovetailed together because of this one agent. He had a duty to find out what happened.
Well, keep in mind here, I think he did better than you think he did. But keep in mind two really important things. I'm glad you focused on this because Rosenstein made 2 points. Number one, I'm not the one, and nobody at DOJ. As opposed to FBI, which is in the DOJ, but nobody in Rosenstein's shop told Peter Strzok what to say or not to say. And also, he made it very clear he had nothing to do with the redactions, including this latest outrageous redaction that they didn't find out about until the Inspector General's report came out about the "will stop him." He didn't have anything to do with that. When he found out and when he was told there were redactions, he brought in this U.S. attorney from Chicago. But it brings up an interesting point. There appears that for many years, on and off, there's been a rogue element in FBI leadership that obstructs these kind of investigations. And obviously, it's outrageous that text message was not sent to the Congress. And the question is, what's going to be done about it? Because I think DOJ should do something about that.
Yeah, Andy, are there any repercussions for what was done? I mean, redacting, don't worry, basically, I'll take care of it, meaning it's not going to be a problem. Trump's not going to be a problem. And that doesn't go to the Congress?
Of course. And, this is the problem, I think, that Rosenstein has. I think, for example, I wondered if he had ever prepared a witness before, because a lot of times it seemed to me his answers were sensible, but the smirk on his face was really off-putting. But on this particular, he says that he strongly supports the disciplining of agents who've committed misconduct. He endorsed IG Horowitz's report. But, you got to put your money where your mouth is, and it's impossible to be credible and say at the same time, we're giving you all this cooperation, and when we find somebody who withholds stuff, we don't do anything to discipline them.
Yeah, John, you know what I'm looking for some of these officials, why isn't he angry about this? Like, he seems it's all about him. Like, you're mean to me, you were mean to me in the press, and their personal attacks. If this happened at the FBI, which it did, you had these people burrowed into the system who hated Trump. They wanted to make sure that Hillary didn't ultimately get prosecuted, and they were going to make sure, by hell or high water, that Trump was going to have problems. Why isn't this guy, Rosenstein, angry?
I don't know, because I'll tell you, in the FBI, I held a lot of leadership positions. No matter what somebody did underneath me, I'm the boss. I'm responsible for it. And you better believe I would have been angry after the fact when I confronted whoever did what.
Yeah, it was just the buck stops here. No, I guess not. It's like, oh, I have too many employees.
Well, they let him out. They let Strzok out. Don't forget, a couple weeks ago, he was let out, escorted out of the office.
It's about time.
Yeah, but he still works there, though. I mean, we don't know. I mean, it's not like he's gone. He's sort of over there.
Yeah, like what? But he was moved to like human resources after the Lovebirds text
Laura,
first came out.
We need human resources.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, guys, this is human resources. Yay! All right, guys, thanks so much. And another Roger.